isn't the Chow Gardens that I am used to. In fact, I am not in a garden at all. I see here that we have a computer and what looks to be a tier page, and there seems to be a note here on the screen. Your first assignment is to do a video on Sonic the Hedgehog Zones 1. It'll be a simple assignment, and then you can head back to the Chow Gardens when done. From the creator. Seems to be a simple task, so I guess I'll just rank these then, but I guess I should introduce myself. Well then, greetings to those on the internet. E102 Gamma, reporting for duty. And from what you just heard, it looks like I'm going to be ranking Sonic the Hedgehog zones from the first Sonic the Hedgehog game. The rules here will be very simple. We'll be ranking them based on how iconic they are, the difficulty that is given, the overall zone itself, and, well, very simple. So with that said, let us begin. First up is Green Hill Zone, which, let's be honest here, Green Hill Zone is the zone that everyone thinks of when they think of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's one of the few zones that actually makes a lot of appearances in other games, like in the secret level in Sonic Adventure 2, where you complete all of the A ranks. And it is brought back like in Sonic Generations. Green Hill Zone is the zone that everyone knows of when they hear the word Sonic the Hedgehog. The music is a banger. The zone itself is not too difficult, and it's kind of like the tutorial zone. But it teaches you a lot of the game as you play. And once again, it is the first zone people think of. So due to how much nostalgia, good music, and overall level simplicity, this gives Green Hill Zone the S tier ranking. So now we have Marble Zone. I'm not gonna lie to you, this one is kinda mixed resulted with me. On the one hand, the music is once again really good, and I don't think the zone itself is difficult. With that said though, this zone does have a few difficulty spikes compared to Green Hill Zone. Like the falling spikes, the lava pits, moving platforms in that one section, hidden spikes that will appear out of nowhere. And this is one of the more difficult zones if you want to get the secret level to get the Chaos Emerald. Overall, I have a bit of mixed resulting, but me personally, I put it in the B tier. The music I think is really good, and the level itself, while it's not as simple as Green Hill Zones, it is actually not too difficult to manage. However, if you plan on trying to get this special zone, good luck with that. So next is Spring Yard Zone. I don't actually kind of remember this zone. From what I remember, isn't this the one that has a lot of bouncing bumpers? I'm pretty sure this one is just known to have a lot of bumpers, and you have to navigate through the bumpers, and basically just your standard level. Again, I could be wrong, but I think this is the level that has the bumpers bouncing you everywhere. And that's kind of the whole new gimmick for this particular zone. I think the music is kind of okay. It's not too bad. But with that said, I don't see this one being talked about too often. So I will put Spring Yard Zone in C tier. I don't think it's terrible, but the bumpers can get annoying, and they can mess you up, especially if you don't know how to navigate. So I'll put Spring Yard in C tier. Now we have Labyrinth Zone, and let's be fucking honest here, this zone sucks ass. The only thing that is memorable about this fucking zone is the music. But other than that, this is basically hell. This zone sucks. It is not memorable in the slightest. The level itself is annoying. It feels like a never-ending maze. And this is the level that introduces the drowning theme. You know the one. The one where it is so traumatic I don't know if that is the word, but it caused a lot of trauma to kids back in the day. This zone is super difficult for being the fourth zone. And again, if you try to get the special zone, good luck with that. In fact, if I am correct, Labyrinth Zone is the hardest zone in the game to get an actual good special zone run. So it's basically difficulty up the asshole. With that said, and not to mention, the boss battle is super annoying. That is something I should have brought up earlier. But let me just summarize it like this. Green Hill, you have Eggman on the Wrecking Ball. It's iconic and it's even brought back in some other games. You have Eggman with the fire dropper and causes the platforms to burn. Again, pretty simple. I don't remember this one. This one is one of the zones that I kinda just have the least amount of info on, despite playing it way back. And Labyrinth Zone, the final boss in this zone sucks. You don't even fight him, you just gotta get through the maze. Terrible. Worst zone in the game, hands down. It gets the F tier by default. Now we have Starlight Zone. It is debatably in the same tiering as Green Hill Zone. The music slaps, and the level itself I think is actually, I take that back a little bit. If I remember correctly, isn't this the zone that has a lot of bottomless pits? I could be wrong, but I think I remember one of these zones having endless bottomless pits. And once again, the music itself is really good. A lot of people say it's in the same tiering as Green Hill Zone, but it is not as iconic as Green Hill Zone. Not to mention, I think this is the level that has bottomless pits too. I could be wrong, but either way, with that said, also the boss in this stage is creative. You have to chuck a lot of bombs at Pingus, if I remembered. So I'll give Starlight Zone the A tier. Now we have Scrap Brain Zone. Now this song, the song in this one, is actually supposedly as good as Green Hill, as some people believe. With that said though, it gets the B tier for one particular reason. I don't think the level itself is that bad. In fact, I think it's actually kind of in the medium zone, where it's kind of difficult but it has its easy moments. What gives it the B tier, however, is the final zone, where it's basically Labyrinth Zone all over again. Who the fuck asked for Labyrinth to come back? Labyrinth Zone was hard enough, but the final act in Scrap Brain is Labyrinth. Why? Stop bringing it back. Awful level. But Scrap Brain itself I think is not that bad. It's kind of in the middle for me, so B tier it goes. And last but not least, we have the final battle, the final zone, where you fight Dr. Pingus. I give it the A tier actually. It may be the first one and it is pretty simple, but it's nothing too difficult for the player. You just gotta hit him on where he is moving, and thus it's easy. And it's not that bad for the first final boss in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, so I give it the A tier. And that will conclude this short tier list video where I rank Sonic the Hedgehog 1 zones. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed my introduction, hit that like, hit the bell, and comment down below on what are your thoughts on my tier page. So without further ado, it is time for me to head back to the Chow Garden. E102 Gamma, signing off.